Hi everyone, my name is Shashank and I started writing on Quora with the goal to grow my gifting business. And 250 answers later, I have 10 million content views that have generated 5,000 plus leads for my business, resulting in lakhs of revenues. And in this video, we will talk about the art and science of building a highly optimized Quora profile. So let's get started with the first section where we'll understand what are the different types of Quora profiles out there. So one of the things that Quora offers is allowing you and me to create individual Quora profiles wherein your profile represents you. It is under your name. And the other profile offering that Quora has is Quora Business Profile. So under Quora Business Profiles, companies can create profiles wherein they are representing the company and not just the individual. So in my case, I have two Quora profiles. One of them is Shashank Shekhar, wherein I have written about 250 answers and about 10 million views there. And the other profile that I have is Stone Santa's profile, under which I write answers to questions which are majorly related to Stone Santa directly or indirectly. So right now, if you're getting started with Quora, you should be able to understand which kind of Quora profile would you want to create. You can have both these profiles working together simultaneously, or you can choose just one style and go forward with that. Now we are going to discuss what are the things that constitute a Quora profile. So let's start with the first section wherein people can upload their picture, they can write their name, and just below their name they will be given about 140 characters where they have to introduce themselves. So for me it is Shashank Shekhar, founder at Stone Santa, engineer turned entrepreneur turned educator. So this is one line that briefly describes who I am, and after this I get about a lot of real estate wherein I can write anything that I want. So a lot of people have written poetry to describe themselves. A lot of people have included their credentials such as UPSC rank this, or they have written things like studied at IIT Kanpur or IIM Lucknow, or they have included their achievements. So basically Quora allows you to go creative, go free with whatever you desire to communicate with your audience. And the interesting thing is you can write and add links to the Quora answers that have performed extremely well for you. So in my case, I've written about 250 answers, but out of these 250 answers, I think I have added about only 4 to 5 answers, links to my answers, which I think are my best answers. So basically, if somebody briefly lands on my profile, they will see Shashank Shekhar. If they click on it, they'll find a link to my YouTube channel, and just below that, they will see links to about 3 to 4 answers that I have written, which I think are the best performing answers as per my standards. Now, this is one section of the Quora profile that you can go absolutely creative about. Now, few things that you'd want to follow here is, if you're writing a big description for yourself, ensure that you're formatting it properly. It is readable. By readable, I mean you should not have more than 3 to 4 lines in a single paragraph. Try to include images and external links. It could be a link to your website or your YouTube channel or your Instagram or Twitter. So it could be anything that you'd want to include, but make sure it is well structured and it communicates who you are. So you can choose to add your achievements and you can get very creative with the way you want to present yourself. In another section, there'll be things which includes your credentials. So I studied at DPS Patna, I did my engineering in computer science, I live in Bangalore, but now I live in Patna. So whatever location and credentials, other demographic credentials I have as an individual, I put that under the category of education and credentials. Now there is another interesting section that is just below that, which is something called topics Shashank knows about or topics he knows about. So this is something that is represented and gives you an idea of what are the things that this particular person knows about. So for instance, when you create your own Quora profile, it will ask you this question, what are the things that you know about? And later when you start answering questions, this particular category will be self-populated. So for instance, in my case, I majorly write about startups, digital marketing. So if you look at my profile in the right section, you will see digital marketing, YouTube, and these things mentioned as the topics that I know about. So if you are starting to create content on Quora, in such cases, you should focus on writing answers on the topics that you want to build your authority in. Now, I'll tell you something very interesting that happens because of these topics. Like, I am one of the top writers in digital marketing on Quora, So there is a topic called digital marketing, which is followed by almost 2.2 million people. Now if people click on this and they click on something called most viewed Quora writers, in that my name populates on the 3rd or the 4th position, and it keeps fluctuating. So the advantage of you being an expert or building an authority in a topic allows you to get audience and visitors from places which are not just limited to your answers or the content that you've created or curated on Quora Spaces. So it's very important that the topics that you choose to write about are topics that you absolutely know that you're confident in, and ideally you should include the resources that you cite. So Quora as a category builder can allow you to build authority, and your Quora profile clearly illustrates that. So be very careful and mindful of the things that you're writing about, because your Quora profile will ultimately populate the topics that you've written about, and visitors can check it out, and it basically give them a good insight into how you think and what are your thought processes. Now next we'll want to discuss something called Quora Spaces. Quora Spaces is something which is very similar to what subreddits are on Reddit or Facebook groups are on Facebook. Now with Quora Spaces coming into the picture, people can not just be limited to creating content, meaning writing answers, they can share other people's content at one place. So for instance, there is a space called digital marketing. Now under this category, you obviously would find topics, questions, answers which are very much related to digital marketing and not something which is very offbeat and not related to digital marketing at all. So with Quora Spaces coming to the picture about 1.5 years back, it has allowed a lot of individuals to create and curate content and become creators. With Quora Spaces, something very interesting that Quora has started offering is it is starting to incentivize Quora Space owners. So if I am a Quora Space owner and I have about a lot of followers on my Quora Space, let's say 1 million followers, and if people come to my Quora Space, they will be served ads, and let's say Quora makes $100 per month out of the people who come to my Quora Space. Out of that, Quora will pay me a certain amount of money. So Quora Spaces can be a great way for you to build leverage and again authority in the topic that you believe in. Now I know a lot of my friends who are not active content creators on Quora, but they have Quora Spaces with hundreds of thousands of followers, and they have created spaces with various topics like UI UX designing, freelancing, digital marketing, art and history, life experiences, etc. And each of these spaces have millions of views and hundreds of thousands of followers. So a Quora Space becomes a very interesting section in your profile, because even if you're not a creator and if you're a curator of a very popular Quora Space, then it builds a lot of credibility in your profile without you having to go through the pain of creating and writing long quality answers and being very consistent about that. So guys, be very careful and mindful of how you operate when you're coming to Quora, because all the things that you do will leave digital footprints which will ultimately point back and be visible on your Quora profile, which unfortunately you cannot change or edit much unless you've deleted and removed or modified all the answers that you've written. So Quora Space category is one. Knows about category is where people find the topics that you've written and known about, and then there is a category which talks about your credentials. On the left you will see things like your Quora profile picture, your heading, your subheading, the name that you have, the description that you have, and below that you will see things like how many answers I have written, what are the questions I have asked on Quora, what are the things that I have shared. So ultimately all of these clubbed together will communicate what your Quora profile stands for. So a lot of Quora profiles that I follow, you'll find that there are unique similarities between all these profiles. All of these profiles represent different things, but you will find that all of these Quora profiles are very successful in communicating what they intend to. So the profile of a writer would be full of things like writing, short novels, short movie writing, etc. If somebody is an entrepreneur, then you'll find their profile full of things revolving around entrepreneurship, marketing, digital marketing, hiring, fundraising, etc. So guys, be very mindful of how you're creating content on Quora, because all of that will be reflected back in your profile. And if you want to use Quora to build authority, build brand, gather an audience, in such cases, you should be careful about the actions that you take.